Hey my beautiful bitches, it's me, Fiona St. James, and welcome to another episode of Fiona's Coffee Talks. And as always, I'd like to start off every day with a fresh, hot, black cup of coffee. Hold the cream! I'd love to. In my favorite coffee mug, which is the logo of my Fiona's Coffee Talks. Hold the cream, see, matching t-shirt and everything. And I always think of my favorite quote of the century by Oscar Wilde, which says, "Life is too important to be taken seriously." So lighten up, folks, because in a minute, frankly, it's all going to be over anyway. So funny, right? As you get older, it's like, where'd the time go? So today's topic of conversation is actually a continuation or an update of a video that hopefully you saw about a month or so ago on the world of online content creation. So I had mentioned that, during this whole pandemic with not seeing massage clients and not working, I sort of wanted to try something different. So the online content world, there's quite a few sites. The two main ones, or the two big names that people are probably familiar with, are OnlyFans and Just for Fans. So a friend of mine told me about this, and she was sort of like my mentor and was like, "Oh girl, you should do this," because and so I never really knew how much it was me anyway, because as someone who's been in the the massage world and that whole industry, I've always been an in-person worker. So the whole virtual world, I was like, I wonder how much that's me. So, but it was interesting because even though I wasn't sure how much it was me, I sort of thought, you know what, I want to give this a shot and just, kind of see how it is. So, I spoke about that in the first video and honestly, I'm glad I did it, but I really I have a tendency of going from A to Z like that. So, most people would have probably just done one or two platforms. Honey, I ended up putting myself on 8 different ones. I was on Just for Fans, as I mentioned, OnlyFans, ismyguy, Skype Private, and then the 4 other ones, which are ManyVids, I Want Clips, Clips for Sale, and Chatterbait. Those were the 8. But, even just the initial setup of all of them was very time consuming. But then I almost kind of felt like I was a bit too scattered with it. And I sort of was having my feeling of, I don't know how much I really love this. And I think part of it was from the get-go, I was coming from a place of almost resenting it, because I kind of felt like if not for this whole pandemic, I would have never been doing it anyway. Because, my friend had been telling me about this since a year ago when we met. And I was like, but I'm fine with what I'm doing. And I didn't really feel like I was missing anything by not doing that. And I knew that whole world existed, that whole virtual world, but I just wasn't really all that interested. But I sort of forced myself to do it. And it's interesting too, because in life, most industries tend to be very male dominated. And I have always said, for decades, I have said that the sex industry, whether it's pornography or escorting, or in this case, content creation, this is the one industry where women dominate. There's many more women who do this kind of work than men, and women usually make twice what men make. Even just with massage or escort work, or, even filming porn movies, women do make twice what guys make. And, women also have it easier, in my humble opinion, with the whole content creation world, because a man will pay to see content of, where a woman might be showing her breasts and playing with her nipples and, maybe touching herself. And, men will pay for that. Whereas men paying for male content, honey, a dick is a dime a dozen, let me be frank. So, for you to take solo pictures of you just not, playing with yourself, or not doing much of anything, or frankly not getting, not engaging in actual fucking, I don't know. There's a market for it, but I don't know how much, because, you go on Twitter and you could you see all of these a guy showing that for free. So then it almost kind of makes you think, okay, well, we're at a little bit of a disadvantage because I think men are not so prone to paying to see that, because they could go on Pornhub, they could go on Twitter, they could go wherever and get the shit for free. So you can make money, and I've done okay with it. I also was not so like focused on it because these other things have taken, are more important to me, frankly, than this. But I think I'm a better person for having tried it and for like pushing myself to do it. So because right from the get-go, I have no content of like, me with other guys. I have maybe like a couple of videos, but, so right from the beginning to even put myself on any of these platforms, I had to come up with like 10 videos. So that for me was the fun part, was like in this apartment, coming up with 10 different scenarios, between like my massage table, my kitchen, my living room, my bed, my sling, my vibrator, my dildo. I like, thinking of all of these different like scenarios, and I came up with 10 different ones that were all I tried to make them as distinct and as different from one another as possible, because that seemed to be the magic number. So, but now fast forward, it's been 3 months into it, and like now I'm seeing massage clients again. And, I also kind of felt like, even though like my YouTube channel, like clockwork, every Friday, 10 a.m., I post a new video. In the last couple of months, it's been where like, like this past Friday, my last video posted and I have nothing in the can. So today is Wednesday and I'm like, shit. So I'm filming like 5 videos today and one of them will post this Friday. That's never been the case. I would always have like that cushion of like 4 or 5 weeks, but suddenly I was so involved in this world and sort of like, doing it because I wanted to like put my best foot forward. And then it just occurred to me once I started seeing my massage clients again, how much I'm like, I don't know how much I really care about that. And I always sort of knew that I didn't, because I sort of half-assed went into it. And then also, I hate to say this, but then I realized that I wasn't like, my focus or even my intention on my YouTube channel was not there. Like, yeah, I would make sure new content every Friday, but there's something to be said about, just putting your thoughts into something. And if you suddenly are not thinking about something, then neither is anyone else, because your intention isn't there. And I kind of felt like that's how I've been with this channel. So about a couple of weeks ago, when I renewed my second massage ad, and then suddenly I was like, yeah, you know what, I'm getting the clientele again. This is what I love. That's when it all occurred to me that, wait a minute, this is like, I'm not giving this channel the intention that it needed. And then I also realized that like, of the 8 platforms that I was on, there were like 4 of them that I had not really made any money on because I didn't really give a shit about them. So the last 4 that I mentioned, ManyVids, I Want Clips, Clips for Sale, and Chatterbait, I was like, I deleted all of my profiles. And if you just saw the video that I did on like massage and the whole like dating world, I made mention of the fact that all of those like dating sites and apps that I was on, I deleted my profile on all of those. So that was like the first thing that I did. And that in turn then made me go through my cell phone, my contacts, and I deleted like 700 numbers between like, people that I had spoken to that were like, potential clients that never materialized, or people that I would meet online that you spoke about, like, maybe meeting up, but you never did. Or just frankly, people, you go to a party, you go somewhere social, you meet someone, oh, let's exchange numbers. You do. And then you never contact one another. So I'm going through my book and I'm like, I don't even know who that is. So I deleted like 700-800 contacts. Like that was the second big thing. And then, so it just made sense to me that I had been thinking all along with this content world that those 4 that I just mentioned, I was like, I don't care about those. And I kind of feel like by getting rid of those and having the 4 that I do kind of like, which again are OnlyFans, Just for Fans, ismyguy, and Skype Private, by just having those and getting rid of those 4, then I think I'm better suited being less scattered. And again, the 4 that I'm on, I do okay with them. I'm not trying to make millions on it because I don't want to. Now, I will say this much, that any of those sites that I'm on, there is the opportunity to make a lot of money. But here's the kicker with that. If you want to be successful on these sites and make a lot of money, you really have to be focused on it and have the intention on it. And the people that I know that are on them that do extremely well, they're like 24/7. That is their number one. Like, that's the only fucking thing they eat, breathe, and sleep, is thinking about these sites and, doing like drops or shout outs for shout outs or posting pictures and like constantly taking pictures every day and doing videos and, the constant interaction on social media. It's like a lot of work. And it's great work. I mean, it's wonderful if you care about it. And that was the whole thing. It's not that I don't care about it, but I don't care about it that much. I respect it, and I applaud anyone who is willing to do that. I applaud myself for even being on the 4 that I'm still on, and for creating these videos that I did. And, still periodically I take pictures and, and I post pictures here and there and videos, but I just don't do it the way that everyone else, that most people do, because it's not my number one. It's probably like, if I have a list of like this 5 most important things going on in my life, it's like number 5. It's all the way at the bottom, and nothing against it. It's just, those are my priorities, and it's not number 1. And if you really want to do well with it, as well as you can, it sort of needs to be. So, more power to the people who could do it. It's fun, it's lucrative. If you're any of my viewers, if you're on any of these platforms and if you're doing well, I think that's great. Keep it up. I'm doing as well as I care to do. As much as I'm putting into it now, which isn't a lot, I'm still doing okay with it. I enjoy it, but I enjoy it a lot more now that I don't really give a shit about it. Whereas before it was like, I think I was making myself care too much about it. And then suddenly, I'd be on the phone with a friend and I'd be like, oh, I gotta go, I have to do a drop, or, oh, I gotta do a shout out for shout out, or, and suddenly I'm becoming one of these people that suddenly this is becoming the most important thing. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to be that person, because that's not the person that I am. It's funny also because I'm the age that I am. I have found that on these sites, like, the demographic age-wise is a lot younger than what I am, and I've always done the in-person work for like over 30 years. So, a lot of these like younger people, or like these boy types or twinks, are like 20, 21, or like even the guys that are like the daddy types are like 40. I'm like, girl, I'm 55. I like to think I look young for my age, but the reality is I'm the age that I am. So I'm such a different mindset anyway. The whole virtual aspect of it to me is a little impersonal. I don't want to say that it's shallow, that there's something to it and you're creating the fantasy, but I've always been so much more into reality than I am the whole fantasy thing. I get it, and, it has its place. And I have to say that of the 4 that I'm on, the Skype private video calls are the ones that I enjoy the most. So, there's something to be said about having, that kind of anonymous virtual thing. But, those Skype calls, they happen, they're done and over within 10 minutes, you make a little bit of cash, you're done. These other ones are like OnlyFans in particular. You have to constantly be on it and pay attention to it, and pay attention to Twitter and Instagram and all of that, and constantly do your marketing. And if you give a shit about it, it will work, and you can make a lot of money on it. So if anyone out there is thinking about doing it, I say go for it. It's all, if you think you could enjoy it and you want to try something different, if it's something that's out of your level of comfort. Seems like a lot of my videos lately, I talk about like comfort levels and like going outside of thinking outside of the box and making yourself do things that ordinarily you wouldn't. And all of that is great. You know what? And I knew going into this, I'm either gonna love it or hate it, or I'm just going to like it. And I would say I like it. But liking it will get you this much. Loving it will get you that much. I don't need to love it. I'm good liking it. So anyway, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. That's the scoop with it. Glad I did it. I'm not going to, drive myself crazy with it. And I'm enjoying it that much more. So what are you guys' thoughts? Anyone out there on any of these platforms? And if so, are you loving it? Or are you just sort of like, it's there, you use it when you want? Or, have you been making a shitload of money? Like I know people that are making like 10, 15 grand a month. And I'm like, wow. But, they 24/7, that's all they're obsessed with. That's not me. Oh, excuse me. Anyway, leave your thoughts. As always, thank you so much for being here and indulging and letting me talk my piece and speak my speak and say what I have to say. And don't forget, subscribe, hit the notifications, give me a thumbs up. I look forward to seeing everyone again. And thanks again for being here. Love you.